Now at this point, you know just enough about the SQL language to be dangerous. So let me give you a few quick tips and insights to keep you out of trouble as you pick up the basics. So first of all SQL statements should end in a semicolon. So you might have noticed if you type but omit the semicolon, you get a set of little ellipses. So let me show you what that looks like. So here I am in the command prompt inside the SQLite 3 program. So from here, I'm going to type a statement to create a table. And don't worry if the statement doesn't make sense all just yet. I will dive more into detail about what the statement means and what the parameters mean. But right now, just focus on the syntax of the semicolon. So say I finish my create table statement and I just hit enter here. So without the semicolon at the end, the prompt becomes these 3 ellipses. And that's SQL's way of saying, go on, keep typing, I'm expecting you to say more. But it doesn't know that you finished your instructions already until you end with that semicolon. So let's type it in here and hit enter. So we can take advantage of this by typing out a single statement into multiple lines if we need to. So for example, let's create another table. Let's call it pets2 this time. But rather than typing it all out in one line, I'm going to break it up into multiple lines. And so that semicolon completed this entire statement. So quick tip number 2, you'll notice that not all statements need to end in a semicolon though. So there's a difference between what's called a dot command, like what we saw with dot quit or dot tables, and these SQL commands, such as create table. So dot commands are SQLite 3 specific. So they're instructions for the SQLite 3 software, such as to open a file or to quit the program. But they're not part of the language of SQL. So statements that end in a semicolon are part of the structured query language, and that's what you'll be interacting with to interact with your tables in various ways. It's also important to call out that dot commands are case sensitive. That means typing dot help all lowercase is different from typing dot help capital. So let's try that. And notice that SQLite does not recognize that. So the third tip I have for you is that SQL keywords aren't case sensitive. So for example, our create table statement here, we could have written it as create table. So say I'm creating a third table called pets3. Even with this inconsistent capitalization here, the statement would work. But as convention, I'm going to always capitalize the keywords just to make it easier to read, and I suggest that you do as well. So the final suggestion I have for you is that hitting the up and down arrows will allow you to scroll through back and forth through the previous commands. So let's hit up, and it brings in the command that I typed in earlier. If I keep hitting up again, notice that it's pulling in previous commands. So I just keep hitting up, and these are all the previous things I've typed. I can also hit down to grab in the latest stuff. So the up and down keyboard shortcuts also work in the terminal. So say I quit out of the SQLite program and I hit up, the most recent command that I typed in is pulled right in. So I suggest trying out these 4 quick tips on your own before moving on to the next video.